Hello and welcome to the Sports Show with Bob Spino, where we have with us Major League Baseball manager Mike Scioscia. Bob, he's going to be joining us in just a moment.
We're excited, that's for sure. We're really glad he's on.
So yeah, Bob, it's been an interesting opening slate to the baseball season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it seems to be Yankee Nation again. It's happening again. So, you know,
Don't say
uh,
that, Bob, because Mike's just come on. Don't talk up the Yankees too.
no, no, I won't. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
Great. Tony is going to come on.
Good.
Um, we he's set up for 5:30 because he worked around dinner, so he's gonna eat a little later. So
Nice.
yeah. So okay, so it's early season. What do you think?
Ask me anything you want, Bob. I'm good.
Okay, okay. You think the evil Yankees are going to keep winning?
Well, I'll tell you, this whole game, let's see, rookie here.
Yeah,
This whole game comes down to pitching, and I think they have a little more diverse lineup. They can do some more things instead of just hitting home runs. But
right.
if they pitch and their bullpen holds up, they're right there. I mean, where did they miss it by a couple games last year? So they should get in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. They don't have Michael King anymore, who I thought was really good. But then again, you have to give up somebody for Soto. I mean, all things considered, the Yankees got away with it because they didn't have to give up the Martian. And
No.
Dominguez. Yeah, and that's what they call him out here. But
Yeah.
he's a great power hitter, and but yeah, they did give up a few pitchers. And I don't really outside of and then Cole got hurt. So outside of that, their pitching staff's just so. But the Yankees always win with that short porch and the home runs and the whole thing. You
Yeah, and
know.
they lose that way too. I mean, they've been so one dimensional.
Yeah.
And
Well, I guess when you're a Yankee, despite look, I'm gonna say when you're a Yankee hater like I am, and I've always been, it seems like they win a lot more than lose, and they just give you so many
oh
nightmares.
no, they do. It's just a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Their guys hit the ball a long way when they connect, and they've got a lot of holes in them, but they're tough.
They're really tough. Uh, I personally think that Judge is sore because he's not really hitting. He pulled the muscle in his stomach. I think it's affecting his swing. I know last week, I was watching the game and I didn't really want to watch it because they frustrate the daylights out of me. And I just came out of church. I'm gonna have to go back to church. They're gonna make me so mad. And sure as heck, they put a couple guys on base, they're losing, and Soto comes up with two outs. Go, I know this is against the rules, but walk the darn guy because Judge is not really hitting. They didn't. He got the hit. They drove in all the runs, and then of course, to end the inning, Judge strikes out.
Right.
So I you know, and I got to ask you now that I got you on, and you were a manager, and my camera's moved a little slow. I'm not really sure why, but why do and I understand there's a pitch count. I get it. But why do you guys take the guy out when he's going great? It drives me insane.
Yeah. Well, don't say you guys. First of all, I
Well,
know
you're a manager.
when we were making our decisions,
Yeah.
there's no doubt that if a guy was pitching well and you had the right game plan, you weren't as afraid of that third time around the order or the fourth time around the order.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it right now with analytics hinges on hinges on the batting average against in the third time around, and a lot of that's negative because of the game planning now. I see I see too many game plans going for a swing and miss from the first pitch of the game,
Right.
opposed to just pitching to soft contact. So if we can make it easier outs early in the game, pitch a soft contact, let your defense work. Now you don't have to show as many pitches to hitters early, and you're more confident getting them and more comfortable getting them into that 21, 23, 24, whatever it might be out range. Right now, I just think that guys are looking at a lot of statistics, and
Too
they're
much.
making moves. They're making moves to try to prematurely. I don't mean too early. Like they're trying to stay ahead of trouble, and that's the way they're managing games. And in the long haul, it doesn't make sense to me. I think one thing you got to go back to a
Thank you.
25-man roster, and you got to limit pitching.
Right.
They can do this all day long with if they could have, some of the teams have 15-man staffs to open a season. You can do this all day long and keep rotating pitchers in and out. And that's not the way the game is made. The game's made for a pitcher to get to a certain point. And that's the art form of pitching. I know, I caught some great ones: Hershiser, Valenzuela, Don Sutton. These guys really didn't start pitching until they got in trouble, and they got a lot of easy outs early in the game. And they would tune it up a notch when they needed to, and you'd see their best stuff when they were in trouble. But they had a great game plan. Their game plan was to pitch deep into a game.
Right.
Much rather take a weak fly ball to center or ground ball to short on 2 pitches than 5 pitches to strike a guy out. And that's unfortunately, that's I think it's far too prevalent, and where you see a lot of pitchers. I'm not going to speak for all of them. There's still some really tremendous pitchers that understand what they need to do. But you see it too often where these guys are working way too hard early and trying to strike a guy out on a no count. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Mike, I just your comments harken on a question I have for you, a broader question. The general state of the game, the kind of state of the union. What's your opinion on where the game is at? Where areas have improved in the past 30 years? What areas may have regressed?
I love the pace of the game changes. I think that there's a couple other things. I think if we can get a little more creative in between innings to shorten the length in between innings and tighten the game up, and maybe do what golf does, where playing through, you can save 8 or 10 more minutes of dead time in a game. As far as playing the game, somehow somebody convinced a boatload of major league teams that you shouldn't steal bases over the last couple of years.
Right.
Now that's obviously coming back into vogue. It's a huge part of the game.
Right.
I think that there is room for a hit and run, a sacrifice bunt. The guy who's going to hit 40 home runs and 700 plate appearances, there's 660 other plate appearances where something is going to happen other than a home run. So you want to try to maximize that and take advantage of that. So I think that that part of the game has gone back to slow pitch softball, just like guys hit the ball out of the park. But the pendulum is, like I said, is swinging back towards maybe meshing that with a running game. I think that our the way we're using pitching staffs, I think we're going in the wrong direction. I think you still need that starter that goes out there and gets you, throw some pitches into the 6th, 7th inning every time. And the only way that happens if you shorten the rosters, like I said. So, baseball, this game's a great game. I just think we need to, you need to bring the beauty of the game back into it. And,
they're not doing, like, analytics drives me crazy. And first of all, the pitch, like, this is a good example. I'm a Met fan, and I grew up a Met fan, and you can say pitching all you want, but still you need to hit, because the Mets have always had great pitchers through the years and lousy hitters outside of the mid 80s, really, when you guys played them. And, outside of 1969, which was, nobody thought that was coming. But
or 73, you didn't see that one coming either.
No, but it was beautiful. But there, the pitching, that Tom Seaver was just lights out. And Jerry Kuzman, do you know he's never lost a playoff or a World Series game in his life?
Wow.
That is true. And, even Seaver lost a few, but he never did.
Mm.
And, like, I'm watching the Yankee game the other night, and they're playing the Astros. And the pitcher for the Astros, who threw a no-hitter against them, and I was at that game a few years ago.
Yeah.
He throws, the Jeter team couldn't hit this guy. I mean,
Right.
They just couldn't. So he's winning 1-0 early. And I'm like, the Astros aren't hitting like they used to. And I'm like, you watch. When the 7th inning comes, they're going to take this guy out. And sure as heck, and he's going to be like Jacob deGrom. And the Mets would do that. 1-0 in the 8th. Time to get him out because 100 pitches say so. And I go, we're going to lose. And boom, they would lose 6-1. And I'm sitting there going, I see deGrom all over again. The 7th inning comes, I'm like, they yank him out. The next pitcher walks the next 3 guys and then beans the guy. And then they get 3 more hits and they lose the game. I'm sitting there going, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
It drives me insane. Just get rid of the pitch count and analytics. I mean, they do it in basketball. They're talking about, the 3-point line, and it's important. You make 35%. 65, you miss. What part of that don't you get if you're supposedly a bunch of mathematicians?
I know that's the way
It
they look.
drives me crazy.
A pitch count has first I see Tony there. Hey Tony, how
Hey,
are you?
Tom. Anthony, how you
Mike,
doing?
good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. You look great.
How's the family doing?
Everybody's good. Everybody's good. Yep,
Good.
we're doing good. But back to Bob, what I'm saying about the pitch counts is,
Yeah.
as you look at pitch counts and you evaluate the data, it'll tell you some red flags in pitchers. And some guys, they maintain their velocity, their spin rate at an acceptable level, far past 100 pitches. And some pitchers, they're, maybe you can get to 115, 120 when their stuff really drops off. And
Mhm.
some pitchers, it happens at 70 pitches over the
Right.
course of time,
Right.
to where they're really they're at risk of either injury, or they're at risk of losing a ball game once they get into the sixth inning. So there's some value in evaluating that and making a decision. But as far as saying people came up with a 100 pitch count,
Yeah. Where did that come from?
arbitrary pitch count for Fernando Valenzuela, who threw 140 a game, and his last pitch would be as dynamic as his first pitch,
Right.
to some guys, that maybe only could throw 70 pitches and lost their stuff. So it's an arbitrary number. You have to dig deeper into that, and there is a point of a game where it's diminishing returns, where a pitcher's stuff is not matching the challenge, and you're gonna be lucky if you get this hitter out.
There's
John, I see you got the right headgear on tonight.
Oh, by the way, we
Standard.
this is our third host. This is John. Everybody say hi to John. John, how's it going?
John, how are you?
Hi guys, hi Mike, Tony, Bob, Rob. How's everybody
Mhm.
doing?
Nice to
Sorry
see
I'm
you.
late.
Where are you coming from?
But
Where are you,
New
John?
Jersey.
Oh,
I'm
Jersey?
from New Jersey, yeah.
he's from Jersey.
Okay, good.
But that's the thing, Mike. Like it drives me crazy because analytics is killing everything. They don't go on field no more, or there's certain nights when guys are on. Like I can still remember there was a guy named Roger Mason on the Phillies, and when he played in the World Series against Toronto, the Phillies had no pitching at all. Toronto was killing every pitcher except him, and there wouldn't have been a Carter Grand Slam if they just kept him in the game. Every time he came in, he was getting them out, but they didn't want him in. He's like, next. And I'm like, oh no, Mitch Williams, they're done. And like, but people don't understand it. And then they try to justify the bad moves. I don't get it.
Yeah.
There's no bunting, there's no hit and run, there's no straight steals anymore. And I'm at
I think
analytics.
that's coming back, Bob. I think that's all coming
I
back.
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so, but I'm an analytics guy, early 20s. I'm out playing trivia one night and he had an NFL shirt on, and I knew right away, I'm like, he's working in the pros somewhere, And he turned out he just got a job at a college. And he goes, I work in analytics in the NFL office in New York. I go, oh, you're the guy we all hate. Thank you so much for killing our sports.
Yeah.
And he laughed, but it really is true, Mike. I don't understand. I even mentioned to Tori Lavelle. I go, Tori, so don't take your pictures out, please. Just don't do it. He didn't listen or nothing, but I just said, please don't do it. And one night, this is a true story. You were managing, and you were in New York, and the Yankees beat on you the night before, and they were making fun of you. So I had Tim Mead on my text, and I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm texting him during the game. Nobody even knew I was home. I was out around my neighborhood, and I go, Tim, don't take the picture out. And like I'm texting you. They took the lead on you guys, and your third baseman that filled in for A-Rod for 1 year, you had him. He had a grand slam, and I'm sitting there like, you guys loaded the bases, and I'm texting Tim. I go, Tim, he threw 2 fastballs high. He swung and missed. If he throws a third one, he's gonna clock it. He goes, Bob, he's not a home run hitter. I don't care. He was on those. The next pitch, he clocked a grand slam, and he went, shh, we won. I go, So, but you kept the pitch. You went out. I go, Mike, don't, please, don't keep him in. Yankees can't hit him. And you kept him in, and you guys end up beating him that night.
Well, there's times like we're talking about, depending where your pitching staff is during that week. Sometimes you've got to extend a guy to a limit of the game allows. I'm not talking about you never extend a guy to where he's injured.
Right.
You're struggling in the second inning, and you've got to get him. He's got to get to the fifth, or else this game just, even if you lose, it implodes because you use your whole pitching staff for the next whole day. You'll lose him. So, there are times that happens too.
Mike, you mentioned the beauty of the game, and a question I've been wanting to ask you all day is Tommy Lasorda basically said that his experience managing the national team, the U.S. national team, was the best experience of his career. I'm curious about your experience managing the team. What was that like for you, and where does that rank for you in your career?
Yeah. Are we starting? Is this it? Are we
Oh
ready?
yeah, we've been on, Mike. We've been going.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, you've been live the whole time.
You've been like the whole time.
Okay. Here's what I felt. And I remember Tommy in 2000 when he managed the Olympic team and our coach the Olympic team. And they went to Sydney, Australia. They won the gold medal. Tommy was very emotional, but I never saw him cry. When he was on the lines when they were getting their medals, he was bawling like a baby. And he told me when he got back, he said, "Mike, if you ever get a chance to do something like an Olympic team or world, World Cup, something along those lines, do it." He said, "Put that USA uniform on, and you will not regret it." So I had the chance a couple of years ago, and we fell a little bit short. We lost Japan in the gold medal game, but we
Right.
away with the silver. And what an experience! I mean, to just put the USA jersey on was just a thrill for me.
I still think that pitch was strike three, and you guys should have won that thing. And then they called it a ball.
Yeah, we were close. We lost. We had them up to the ninth inning. They came back and tied us in the ninth inning, and then they threw some pitching at us, so we lost 2-0 in the gold medal game, and unfortunately couldn't get the gold medal. But our kids played great.
Yeah, and you did a great job as always, Mike. You're awesome. And by the way, I will say it. This guy is Mike Scioscia is the only manager with a winning record against the Derek Jeter Yankees. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I didn't win one of those games, Bob. Our
Huh?
guys, I didn't win one of those games.
No, you didn't. Well, you didn't lose any either.
Our guys on the field. Our guys in the field. We had a great team, and
Yeah.
I think even before I got there, I know these guys always played the Yankees up. I mean, if you look at that generational team that the Yankees had from the mid '90s all the way through the mid 2000s, and then won again in 2009. I mean, that's a Hall of Fame team, and
no doubt.
that was incredible. So, we always felt that if we could get a lead and play an 8-inning game, you never wanted to get to Mariano Rivera. So you needed to get runs to where he would be not an impact in that game. Sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't. Because when he came in, that game was over, and so you never wanted to put yourself in a position where it's a tie game. You're on the road in New York, and that Rivera's going to come and throw that ninth inning zero, and then you've got to hold those guys in the bottom of the ninth. So, you definitely wanted to score early and just try to hold on to that lead.
You know what? It's true. The players played, but you were the general, and you had everything to do with it as much as they did. I know you're being humble about it, but you deserve the credit. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Now, Mike, anything you can glean, any impressions from the opening slate here and these first games of note for you?
Yeah, there's a number of things. I think that there have been some teams that you would expect are you don't expect to be contenders that have gotten out of the gate and played above their head. Some teams are a little slower. The one team that I'm really impressed with, and I think they've done their rebuild as well as you can, is the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know if there's a better club right now in Major League Baseball to watch. And they acquired Burns in the offseason, which gives them more pitching depth. They're a fun team. They do so many things. They run the bases aggressively. They do just a terrific job. And where they were like 5-6 years ago, you could see it coming, and now it's all they're in the major league level, and they've got more guys coming. These guys are going to be a force for a long time.
What do you think about the prospect Holiday?
Oh, he's a special player. He's going to be every bit like look at a Bobby Witt Jr. in Kansas City, Holiday. All these young kids are special players, and they're going to be special for a long time. just being out here and watching the Angels, Mike Trout is back to being Mike Trout, and I don't know if there's a more dynamic offensive player in the game than Mike in the batter's box. Maybe Ohtani over with the Dodgers, but
Right.
Mike's off to a great start, and he's going to have a huge impact on that club.
Well, when he stays healthy, he's unstoppable pretty much when he's healthy. So
He's healthy, and
yeah.
there've been some pitching injuries, that you would expect.
Right.
There's been a rash of them, and that's always concerning. But you just hope these guys get back and stay strong, because there's some talented pitchers that have gone down that'll have an impact on the team season, no doubt about that.
Why do you think there's so many pitchers getting hurt today?
Yeah, we've heard this for a while. I think that if you look at a lot of young pitchers that chase velocity, I mean, when you're a kid in high school and you have a good arm, you go to showcases, the one thing you want to bring as a pitcher is to show velocity. And so these guys maybe start trying to throw too hard before they're ready to. It has an effect on them as they continue to grow as a pitcher. You see a lot of growth plate injuries with kids that are, just getting into their teenage years where they're trying to throw the ball too hard, and I think that leads to things as they continue to grow. Why are there some injuries? Why do some pitchers, why did Nolan Ryan never get hurt? Why did Tom Seaver never get hurt? I think a lot of it, as I alluded to before, guys are throwing harder at a younger age. And I think they're working harder in a game. These guys are working hard for that strikeout on an 0-0 count, like I talked about, when a hitter starts the game off. And so I think there's probably a lot of factors that come into it. Some guys are just going to be prone to getting banged up, and some guys aren't. There's definitely mechanical issues, and the guys wind up. But this comes across every year. You're always seeing a number of pitchers get hurt, and no one's put their finger on exactly the one cause. There's a multitude of things.
Right. I mean, it seems like it's worse now than it ever was. I mean, I know there's always injuries in the past, but it seems like it's really, really getting bad.
Yeah, they're diagnosing things now. A lot of times, they can find things out, and it becomes, they can target injuries. I know guys are doing a lot more lifting. Their strength is much greater than it was 30 years ago. I don't know if that has an issue where they're generating a lot of forces, and maybe their connective tissue just isn't up to the task.
Tony, you have any insight on that? What's your take?
I have felt for several years that once they start putting in the weight conditioning program, that we saw more and more tears and more injuries develop sooner than in the past. And I think that I remember years ago. I mean, everything was conditioning, and there was no weightlifting. I remember one year we made it through a whole football season with one injury. One guy missed one game.
Wow.
And I mean, you could never do that today. I mean, it doesn't happen. And I think Mike touched on it really well. I think these kids are trying to do too much at a really young age, and you're seeing more and more even younger kids in Little League and Babe Ruth, and they're all getting the Tommy John surgery. I mean, it's just multiplying even before they get to college or before they get into the minor leagues or the majors. They've already had one or two. I know that, done some research on it. I know that anybody who's had back-to-back Tommy Johns hasn't been very successful at coming back to where they were before, even coming back at all. Yeah. But I think we've gotten so far away from the conditioning, and we've really focused so much on the lifting that you can build your muscles and they can get really developed and you get really strong, but the ligaments and the tendons don't get stronger. They get more pressure put on them, which is going to cause them to give way sooner or later or tear. And I think, you see these guys with huge arms now and biceps and quads and everything. But the thing is, those ligaments and those tendons that hold everything together, they don't get stronger. It's just the muscles around them is starting to pull away on them and pull away to where they eventually wear out and they tear.
Bob, one other thing too, I think, and you're right on the money, Tony, is if you go back to like the 40s and early 50s, there were really three pitches that a pitcher threw fastball, curveball, and changeup.
Right.
That was it for decades.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, late 50s, a slider came along. And that was the pitch of the 60s where everyone introduced a slider. I think you started to see some of the, injuries start to. I think every time a new pitch is introduced, I think there's some guys that have problems with it. In the 80s with the split finger fastball, if you look at the Giants team and Roger Craig, who was an unbelievable manager and pitching coach,
Split finger.
taught the split finger
The old fork
to
ball.
most of the guys on the Giants team. You had Kelly Downs and you had Garrelts. You had guys with great arms.
Well, how about Mike Scott?
Mike Scott,
There you
right
go.
in Houston. Yeah, he started with the Mets and went to Houston.
Yeah.
Great arms, but these guys now they're throwing a pitch that really takes some of the weight away. So the forces are going right through your arm. You started to see injuries then. And then now, where they have they redefined really what we would call a little slurve or sloppy slider and a curveball, and they're calling it a sweeper. And then what they're doing, if you will watch them break down the mechanics of how some of these guys are throwing it, Ohtani was devastating when he was throwing it, but the twist and torque that they're putting on their arm to get this ball to move like that is it's just an exceptional load on their arms, and I think you're starting to see some of those. So I think there have been a number of issues. I think I think pitchers trying to add so many pitches to be so dimensional instead of narrowing it down to what they can be and be consistent with maybe three pitches has added to that also.
You know what's funny about it? I know they would throw the screwball in the 70s. Remember the screwball? And they were telling kids, do not throw it. It's going to destroy your arm. So they got rid of it, and now they're doing all this other stuff, and they're getting hurt anyway, which is so different.
I mean, how many different pitches did Mariano Rivera have?
He didn't. He had like three.
One, but he was the master of it. He was
Right.
Yeah.
and
I mean, that's what I mean. If you would concentrate, that's
no,
my point, Mike.
yeah, Mariano, like you said, he knew what he could do and he mastered it. And he could make that thing break a little bigger, a little smaller, elevate it. He was just he was the best there. He was the best reliever ever put a uniform on.
Yeah, he sure was.
And
it was mostly one pitch.
One pitch.
They just buzzsaw the baseball bat.
Flawless delivery. He
Mhm.
had mechanics were so easy and he lasted. I mean, he pitched. Did he pitch 20 years? I think.
Yeah, he sure
Yeah.
did. I was actually at the last All-Star game when he won the car. He was the MVP. It was at Citi Field actually when it was first built, and he was, and nobody went out there because he actually came out in the 8th inning, not the 9th. And everybody, he was the only one who walked out on the mound. He looked around, he was standing there by himself, and everybody just gave like a crazy ovation for like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I just didn't stop cheering.
yeah.